Hey guys, we're back here on one of my real building sites and I wanted to talk to you more about allowances in building contracts. You see, allowances are one of those things that can be very misunderstood. A lot of clients don't understand why there are allowance figures in a contract, and a lot of builders don't go to the time and the effort to educate their clients on allowances, how they've come up with the amount and why they're in a contract. So you may have seen another video we did about allowances for earthworks. This one's a little bit more general. So most of the time, allowance figures that are in a contract should only be there for two reasons. One is that they're things that haven't been selected or decided at the moment. So a lot of the time that can mean that there's something that a client has to make a personal decision on, which will be things like tiles, joinery, plumbing fixtures, there might be some stonework, anything that's a bit more custom and that you as a client has to make a personal decision on to make sure it's what you want in your new home. The other reason that items will be an allowance is that if it's unforeseen at the time of going to contract. So in the current building environment with a lot of price increases, depending on supply and demand, you might get things that end up being an allowance like external windows and doors, possibly even timber framing and roof trusses and those sorts of things. And the reasons they become an allowance is because we can't knuckle down on an exact price at the time that we're going to contract. So when you put allowances in a contract, myself as a builder, we can't just randomly throw figures at them. They have to be realistic figures that allow for the types of finishes and things that you're after. And look, that's not saying we know exactly what they're going to be. We have plenty of jobs where we put an allowance in for joinery and then the client goes and makes their selections and selects things that are way over what we thought they were going to select. So, and then that allowance obviously gets increased a lot. So allowances are one of those things. Like ideally in any building contract, you want to minimize the amount of allowances, because when you do have allowances in contract, it also means that they have to have a margin applied to them. So if you make a selection that goes over the allowance that's in your contract, you will also have to pay the builder's margin that has been nominated in the contract on top of the difference. So it's one of those things that you really need to have your head around. You need to understand your contract. You need to be working with a builder that explains all this to you. So in our business, we like to have a pre-contract signing meeting. So we sit down and we actually go through with our clients all the clauses in the contract and explain them exactly what they mean. By doing this, it means that we can run through all the allowances, we can point out how the margin gets adjusted if things go up or down, all those types of things. But one of the reasons I wanted to do this video, because it still doesn't take out the reality that myself as a builder, I don't know what my clients are going to select. So if they haven't worked with an architect or designer that has done a full specification for the job, I'm basically making assumptions on allowances based on maybe pictures they've shown me. We possibly could have shown them through some of our past jobs. And look, we've had this plenty of times where we've gone and showed a client a past project. They've gone, oh, we love that kitchen, we love that joinery. Yeah, just look, for now, let's just run with the allowances that you put on that job. So we'll put in the figures that the joinery cost us on that job. The client will then go and sit down with their cabinet maker and start making their selections, and they pick a way more expensive stone. The kitchen we showed them might have been a nice Lemonex product, and now they've decided to go to 2-pack, and then all of a sudden we get the pricing back from the cabinet maker and that allowance has gone up by 10, 20, 30, 40, 50%, which we as a builder are then entitled to a builder's margin on the difference. So I guess there's three things here. Understand why you have allowances in your contract. So is it things that you haven't made selections on? Is it things that you've just given your builder permission to just put some allowances on and there's been no communication about it? Like, just be very careful with that, because you don't want your builder putting in $20 a metre for tiles and then you go and selecting $80 a metre tiles. It's going to be a huge variation. So understanding why allowances have been put in there, understanding how the figures where the figures have come from, and then understanding how they get adjusted and understanding all the costs. And probably the last thing to touch on with this is when you, like things for example as tiles. 9 times out of 10, a builder, if the tiles haven't been selected, the builder will put tiling labour in as an allowance as well. And this is simply because tiling labour changes depending on the size of tile, the type of tile, and all those types of things. So a mosaic tile is going to be a lot more expensive to lay than a large format floor tile. A bathroom is going to be more expensive to tile than a main floor area. All these types of things have to be taken into account. So if you haven't selected your tiles, you can't expect your builder to put a fixed price on the tiling labour. So as usual, if you're thinking about building or renovating, you're having issues on your job site, you've got questions about anything to do with building or renovating, your building contracts, how to deal with your builder, or even you're a builder wanting to know how to run a better business, make sure you give us a shout out and we'll come back to you on a video or send you a message.